All right, we are live with another episode. And on today's episode, I interview a singer-songwriter born and raised in the Canadian prairies. She's been a musician for 20 plus years and an artist and creator since 2016. Her debut EP, Stay, will be released this March. She'll be throwing an EP release party at the Handsome Daughter in Winnipeg, Manitoba to celebrate Stay's release. Tickets are available on showpass.com, or you could follow her on IG at Shay Wolf, 3 Ys in that Instagram handle for a direct link. Welcome to the Winner Circle, Shay Wolf.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I remember first hearing you at Assiniboine Park. I was teaching yoga at a family festival, and like you were playing music there. And we've crossed paths many times at the IM festival where like I've taught and you've performed, and just sitting around the campfire, just hearing your amazing singing and songs. So I'm excited to share your story with this world as you prep for your exciting debut of your first EP this March.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Assiniboine Park because I was actually reflecting on that the other day, and I was like, wow, that feels like a lifetime ago, because I remember being so nervous, and reflecting back on that, I've gained so much confidence since then, and so it's always fun. So I'm glad that we've crossed paths for quite a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I have musicians on the show, I like to start things off with a song, so our listeners can kind of get a taste of the talent I'm talking to. So I'd love for you to start with a song.
Great. So I'm going to start with a song. So my EP that comes out on March 9th, and that you mentioned that I have the EP release show on March 8th at the Handsome Daughter. The title track of the album is Stay. So that's what I want to play for you first.
Beautiful. I'm excited to hear it. I haven't heard it yet. It's not on Spotify yet. I was looking for.
That's right. It's an exclusive live song.
Amazing. I'm grateful.
Well, I was walking through my dreams on a clear moonless night when I saw the starry upside in the window that passed me by, and I saw my reflection of happiness in your arms, but you said nothing as you slipped into the dark. Oh, won't you stay one more moment, my love? Oh, won't you stay one more moment, my love? So I waited and I called the morning sun over to me, and I sat there as this crushing sense took over me, and the rain came and washed away all the memories of you, but you stayed in my heart as the bitterness grew. Oh, won't you stay one more moment, my love? Oh, won't you stay one more moment, my love? 'Cause I can't breathe without you right next to me. Oh, won't you stay?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. What a hauntingly beautiful song.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for playing that. And I'm so excited to see that live very soon. And for the world to hear this beautiful song. So tell me about this song. What's this about, and what inspired you to write this EP, Stay, which is this is the title song.
So the EP in general, I think it's a collection of my experiences, you know. I wrote these songs throughout a series of years, and the songs are kind of me navigating who I am, how, you know, they navigate my thoughts and process pretty much the world around me. So this EP is kind of reflective of my thoughts of myself, my thoughts of the world, my thoughts of, you know, others and how we interact with our world. And they're just meanderings. And so Stay, the story of why I wrote Stay is different of how I think it kind of ties into the EP. But Stay to me, you know, it's a kind of a love song or a song of longing. And for me, I'm somebody that is a dreamer. I always have to try to be grounded in the present moment, because I'm thinking about what if I do this, or, you know, about the future. And sometimes those, you know, that gratitude for the present moment, I just, you know, want to keep it a little bit longer. And so to me, as the title track of my EP, it kind of is reflective of that. Like, I want to stay in the present moment. And that kind of the tug of war I kind of always have with myself.
Thank you for that. So you mentioned kind of when you're writing this album, you're answering the question, who am I? And through your journey so far, how would you answer that question? Who are you, Shay Wolf?
Wow, that's a question. That's a big question. Who am I? I am peace. I am zest. I am present with my emotions, and I'm confident in those emotions, which is something that I wouldn't have been able to say, I think, before. You know, I'm comfortable in vulnerability. And so as an artist, that is where I get to release that. And that's where I can really almost, you know, make that come to life in a way that I can't in other areas of my life. That's kind of where I examine my thoughts and my feelings. And so I'm an emotional, confident person.
Thank you. And that's unraveling as you continue to grow as a person, as an artist, no doubt. So one of the first questions that every guest is, what do you love about your world right now? Not about the world, but what do you love about your world?
I love that I have, you know, every day I list, you know, things that I'm grateful for. And so I love that I have a roof over my head. I love that I can take full breath of fresh air. I love that I am challenged by the work that I do, in that it makes me fearful and excited at the same time. That kind of confronting, you know, going outside of your comfort zone. As much as it scares me, I love that. I love my pets and my husband.
Beautiful. And then another question that I ask every guest, so the listeners kind of get a better idea of of who I'm speaking to is that it's pertaining to your mission. So what would you say your mission is here in this reality plane, not only as a musician, not only as a wife, not only as a daughter, a friend? Um, what is your overarching mission that guides you in everything that you do?
I think I want people to feel seen and heard. Um, and so in my personal life with my friends, I want them to know that their emotions and their feelings and their thought processes are valid. We might be flawed people, but it's ultimately okay. And then through my music, if anybody feels connected to my song in some little way, and if it lets emotions that have lived in them, and they're like, wow, I've felt that, or maybe they've never felt that, but it makes them feel something. Going back to how I'm an emotional person, that kind of shared experience, and in a way like support of knowing that somebody out there has felt or experienced something similar is, I would say, that's kind of my personal mission.
That's powerful. So this show is called Welcome to the Winner Circle. And to me, being a winner means someone stepping into the arena, someone embracing the process over the destination. We live in a very destination-oriented society. When I get this job, when I get this career, when I get this record deal, when I get this relationship, when I get this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'll be happy. And then we get there and it's like, oh, like maybe there's a momentary, and then it's like, now what? Because we're missing the sweetness of the song, and that sweetness is the process, the journey. What does winning mean to you? And what does your life look like? Like, what does that stepping into the winner circle look like for you in your current life today?
Okay, I'm probably going to need you to repeat some of those questions, because I have to tell you this story. Sometimes I perform the song "Thank You" by Alanis Morissette. Do you know that song?
Yeah. No, I don't know that song.
Okay, it's but do you know who Alanis Morissette is?
Yeah.
Okay, so "Thank You," it's like, thank you, India, thank you, terror, thank you, disillusionment. I don't know. Anyway, I was learning this song for just performing, and I like to look into why the artist wrote it. And Alanis Morissette is somebody who has reached a high level of fame, and success, an outward view of success, and in the modern day kind of sense. And she was touring the world, had won all these awards for albums, and she got there, and then she's like now what, like it didn't provide that source of fulfillment that you think or you expect. And so she wrote that song to thank all the little things in her life, and through that redefining what success looked like for her. And so for me, I've often said that my goal in life is to be happy. And I think for me, success looks like being content, and aware of all the blessings that I have in each day. And yeah, there are things that I want to work towards, and as a musician, I have these goals, and I think it's hard not to attach. I'll tell you how I do, but I think it's hard not to attach ideas or ideals to goals that you have. But when I feel the best when I'm grounded in each day, and feel confident in the tasks and things that I'm able to do. But so back to your questions.
Yeah, no, you answered it. And then the second part of that is just like, what does winning in your life look like for you today? You mentioned to me before this call that you've stepped into being a musician full time. So you're juggling a career and performing, but now you've went all in. So yeah, let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it's I'm really excited, and this is a very recent decision. Like as in the past like week and a half. So it's also been a decision that I know is going to come with a lot of hardship, and so there's some fear surrounding that. But winning to me, as a career, I love to make money to live off of it. And was it like winning as a whole or in each
Yeah,
day?
just as a whole. Like we could start with music, but just as a whole.
Yeah. So definitely money is part of that, as well as not losing perspective on my being remaining grounded. To me, that is that's huge, because as I'm stepping into this new career, and I want things to progress at a certain speed, I also I think what there's a saying, fast feels fast feels fast feels slow and slow feels fast, or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
When I step back and I just kind of let things flow, and I follow kind of my instincts. That, I guess, that's I don't know.
That's perfect. So you talked about staying grounded. How do you stay grounded? How do you attend to your self-care? Like, because yeah, this is a big step that you've taken. Even just what you were doing before, is putting yourself out there, putting your emotion, putting yourself on center stage and letting everyone see you. How do you stay grounded? How do you take care of yourself in that process?
I really like to start the day with meditation. I have, a gratitude practice. I also have a goals practice. Well, it's not really a practice. It's just each day reminding myself of my goals, which I think, align my focus for the day. Movement and exercise is huge for me, as well as good food. If like nutritious food. If one of those things is in balance, then I feel imbalanced, and sometimes it's a slippery slope. I wish like it's always a practice.
And in that practice, resistance comes up, and author Stephen Pressfield describes resistance as that negative force in that world that keeps us from fulfilling our dreams. So maybe that resistance shows up like you just like wanting to stay in bed, or you not wanting to like go perform, or you not wanting to write that song. And that comes up for each and every one of us forever. So how do you tackle resistance when it arises its head?
It's actually funny when you say the resistance. I think about when I am nervous to go on stage, and like I'm not always nervous, but depending on, like, I'll be nervous for my EP show for sure.
Yeah.
I My resistance, and I know this, is I feel tired. Like, I don't know, an hour or so leading up, I'm like, wow, I could really use a nap. And my body's like, whoa, you're really nervous, like, let's step back. I played classical piano growing up, and I played competitively. And I whenever I would go into a competition, and I would, yeah, perform in the provincial level, I would drink probably like 2 liters of water. I just was like, I'm so thirsty. But that was a really great practice for me, because I learned to open up my body language, and really kind of stand in like a power pose. And then I really just fall onto my breath. And so in my day to day, and I have been feeling, lots of thoughts of, what about this, or what about this? I try to detach from those thoughts, check my body language. If I'm like, all shriveled up like a prune, but, open up, and just, try to calm the mind, and detach from that.
Yeah, those are two beautiful tools that I've learned from like my yoga practice, the power of the breath, the power of the posture and how that really transforms the way we experience reality. So those are great ways to deal with resistance. So let's get into your origin story. You started your music, like love for music, with the piano, if I heard that correct, and you've been playing for over 20 years. So yeah, let's just go all the way back to how music came into your life and how it brought you to where you are now.
Yeah, so yes, I started playing piano age 4, I think actually. So that, yeah, it's over 20 years for me playing piano. And I actually, I mean, piano was my first instrument, but the voice is I would say that is number one. I would sing myself to sleep when I was younger. I'd sing when I woke up. But when my mom was like, "Oh, let's put you in lessons," I was like, "I'm gonna learn piano." And you want to know why?
Why?
It was because I thought it was the easiest instrument to learn. So I was like, I want to like go the easy route. And I stuck with it for a lot of years, very intimately. So yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then yeah, you started singing to yourself, and like, have you ever gotten professional training, like vocal training, or is this just all intuitive?
I hadn't until about a couple years ago, when I was like, I'm starting to really sing a lot, and guitars, ukuleles, whatever instruments, you can replace the strings, you can buy new parts, you can get a new instrument, whereas your voice, like this is the voice you've got. And so I was like, I really have to treat my voice with respect and learn how to do that. So I started, learning through a couple of teachers. And with my practice in piano being kind of classically trained at a high level, I realized that there's always something to learn. And it's always like a beautiful thing that no matter how good you get, there's always something to learn. So that's kind of where I'm at with the voices. I love to learn about it.
And then in 2016, you decided to just go at it as a singer, a songwriter. Like, talk to me about that. Share that story.
So so 2016, I went through a breakup and I was heartbroken. And I was living in Kelowna at the time, and I had a guitar, and I I I don't really play guitar very well, I should say, but I was like, you know what? I've been practicing this song. It scares the hell out of me, but I am going to post a video on my Facebook of me singing and playing guitar, because I've always loved to sing. I had this dream about being a musician and being a singer, and it really scared me, but I did. And my friend Maurice, who he messaged me and he was like, that was beautiful. Would you ever want to do a house concert? And I was like, the word, like the sentence, "do you want to do a house concert?" like instantly just like injected me with fear, like my heart was like pounding, my cheeks were like red, and I got all like flustered, because it was something that, if I was honest with myself, I'd always dreamed of doing, but that step of being a musician and performing for people was so scary to me. But I said yes out of total fear, and it's kind of been a beautiful journey ever since.
Fear has come up a lot in this conversation already. So, like, talk to me about your relationship with fear. How have you made fear your ally?
I always find that, in the story I just told, fear was just a response. Like, deep down, I know that in my core that this is something that I'm passionate about, that makes me happy. And fear is almost an indication of like, yeah, I'm gonna push this a little bit further. I'm gonna push past that fear, and as scary as it is. And, I'm going through that now as a, wanting to do this full time of everything. And it's humbling. But it's also something that I think fear and pride are very closely linked. And and it's beautiful.
So what advice would you give to a fellow human? They could be a musician, they could be a yogi, they could be whatever, and they're at the crossroads. They're at the crossroads of should and must, and what's the voices stuck in their head are the shoulds. Like like the shoulds you've received from society or religion or culture, from your parents or from your friends, your partner. Like, you should do this is the safe path, but like there's a must in your heart that is like dying to be manifested into reality. And you said yes many times to that path of must, including now going into it full time. So people are stuck though. So what would you say to a fellow brother or sister at that crossroads of should and the must? What advice, what words of wisdom would you send their way?
During my meditation this morning, I was visualizing my future, and to that person, I would say, you're, where you are is amazing. Yes, you have all this turmoil, but think about yourself after making that decision, if it's really in your heart, and think about that pride that you'd have, or how proud you would be to watch yourself, accomplish these things. And I think we make choices in our lives that, define us in many ways. And so just taking an honest look of, being proud of what you have defined for yourself already. And also, thinking about what you still can do if you feel called to, and if you don't, and if you're okay with the current life that you're living, then fantastic.
So you played your first performance as a singer-songwriter at a house show that Maurice put together. How did that go, and what was next?
So the second part of that story is, I was like, yeah, I'll do the house concert, but I also have never written any songs. So my decision to do the house concert was also coupled with the need to write, like, I think I wrote 6 or 7 songs in a short period of time. I actually only play one of those. The first song I ever wrote, I still play. Excuse me. But it went great. I played piano, I played guitar for some of it. And it was so amazing. Like, I haven't thought about that moment actually in so long, but it was such a beautiful moment where I was just kind of taking steps in a very supportive environment. And yeah, it was great.
And then from there, what are some other highlights that you remember on the road to where you are now?
A huge one for me was recording this EP. There's kind of I felt I'm still a very new artist, but there's kind of a tie where you're, trying to establish a community, but you're not quite eligible for some things. And I was kind of caught in that balance where I wasn't seen as a full-time artist, but I wanted to be. So I wasn't eligible for some funding, and music recording can be very expensive, and I have no experience really. And so, saving my money and going into the studio and working with a producer for this EP was really, really memorable. It took a lot of hard work, and I'm so proud of it.
Beautiful. So share me about the singer, like the songwriting process. Like, what does that look like? I've never written a song. That's not my avenue of forte. So yeah, like how do you go about, like, I don't know, thought in the head until like a beautiful song like Stay that you opened up with? What's that look like?
Well, so for me, because I think of my voice and the piano as kind of my two instruments, sometimes it can be all over the place, honestly. Oftentimes it's melody based for me, so I'll just be kind of like singing out loud, just kind of like gibberish, and I'll be like, oh, I kind of like how this flows. And sometimes I think about having balance in melody, so I'll be like, oh, I like how this melody kind of goes up and it arcs, and then I'm like, oh, I want to contrast that with maybe like a low kind of section. I don't know if that makes sense, but and then I'll find the chords on the piano. This is Stay, the song that I played at the beginning, and the title track of the EP was actually written completely different. I was on a road trip to BC for my friend's wedding, and I was just playing the ukulele in the car. And I was just playing through some chords and found a chord progression that I liked. And I wrote the song that day in the car on the ukulele, and then it just kind of transpired on piano. So I don't know. There's so many different methods, and I don't think there's any limitation. There's artists that will make Excel spreadsheets of like different lyrics, and it's really more of like a very logical approach to songwriting. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way.
And I'm sure you must write like a lot of different melodies and different lyrics, and sometimes like maybe they're not right for the time. Like how like what's that process look like? To kind of like, you spend so much time on a song and then it's like, okay, yeah, that doesn't work, or like what does that look like? Or does does that happen? I'm guessing it does.
Oh yeah, or you could start off really strong and be like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what to do. And something that I'm really excited to explore, and with more of my time in music, is I'm reading a book right now, is How to Be a Hit Songwriter. And I know. But she talks about the rewriting process. And so the approach with creativity, I think sometimes we take ourselves so seriously and we're like, I'm gonna write this amazing song. But to approach it with curiosity and creativity, so that you can be like, I'm at a roadblock, like let's just have some fun with it. And then reworking and reworking. But at the same time, there's nothing that needs to be forced. So sometimes time away is exactly what a song might need. And then when you're in the space to write it, then it's there for you. And I've looked back on songs and I'm like, I don't even know what this is about, but then I look back, months, years later, and I was like, oh yeah, I was working through something, and it kind of came through in this song. So I don't know.
Another like interesting question I have is, I don't know, I've seen you play around the campfire, I've seen you perform, and like, how do you memorize like not only your songs but like all these other people's songs? Like it seems like you have like a unlimited like memory store. Yeah, how does that even, how do you develop that muscle?
I don't know. I think part of it's muscle memory. Like especially if I'm around the campfire and I have the ukulele, I'm like, oh yeah, this song, it's C, D minor, F, or something like that. And then yeah, and depending how late the campfire goes, I'm like playing it, and then I'm looking around, I'm like, anyone, can you help me? But I don't know. Sometimes I even look at the piano and I'm like, how do I know how to play that? And I think there's another quote. All these quotes I'm mentioning today, I'm just gonna to completely butcher. But it's like, I think it's like Bruce Lee. Um, don't practice, don't practice 10,000 kicks one time. Practice one kick 10,000 times. Is that how it goes?
Something like that, yeah.
That and I think it's just with that, just doing it over and over. And it seeps it, I can't tell you where it goes, but seeps in somewhere. Um, and yeah, I don't know. The song I used to it's built up over the years because I can't say that I knew as many songs, a few years ago as I know now. So
It's
yeah.
incredible. Just putting in the reps, I guess. And that's with that, with anything. So we've mentioned like many people that have helped you on the way, and there's always helpers out there. Let's take a moment to acknowledge some of these helpers, whether they be mentors, um, or people that have inspired you, that have really left a profound impact on you. Who were these people? And what were the main takeaways that you've learned from their being, from their leading by example, that you have incorporated into the person you are today?
Hmm. Um, okay. I mean, we've talked about Maurice a few times. I would say that, he was influential in me to say to believe in myself a little bit, and to start this path in music. I never know if I would, come around at the same time, but the people that see an opportunity for you that at the time you might not see for yourself yet, are beautiful people, even if it scares you. So he has been really instrumental in that, as well as his wife Tracy. They've been super supportive throughout this whole process.
Mhm.
My husband Josh has been really supportive. I don't know if I would, um all those like, I don't know, like, I don't know what I'm doing, those thoughts of, I don't know, just questioning things in those moments, to have somebody that grounds you, and brings you back to, your center, and helps you to remember to breathe. If you're like lying on the kitchen floor crying or something like that, hypothetically speaking. um, he's been, really instrumental in that, um, through the recording of my EP, working with the producer John Paul Peters of Private Ear Recording. I'm not afraid to go into some place and say, I don't know what I'm doing. And so having somebody that's willing to collaborate with you and help you kind of iron out your thoughts and ideas, is really fun. So, working with somebody, has been really, really, really nice. And his wife Vanessa is really lovely and has taught me a lot of things about the music industry. Um, I don't know, there's so many people, and I think everybody that I've met, or that has supported me in any way, whether they be acquaintances or friends or family, or just people, they've their presence doesn't kind of go unnoticed. Yeah.
And so who are some singer-songwriters that have inspired you on your journey? Who are some of your favorites and why?
Oh boy. Well, um I had I had done an interview the other day, and they were like, "Oh, is your family musical?" And I'm like, "No, not really. Like, my mom played the organ when I was, well, actually, no, I don't even know if she played the organ when I was alive. She played the
You
organ
have
at one time in her life." Um, so I was raised on Elvis, and I was raised on like Shania Twain. I loved Shania Twain. So I don't know. I can't. I can say that I'm like really inspired by her, or like you see a lot of that in my music. But I have to say that, all the musicians that I've loved growing up, I feel like, and combined with my experience, are things that I bring with me in my music. But in today's world, Joni Mitchell is a singer-songwriter, Sarah McLachlan. I'm inspired by, pop artists like, Adele or Dua Lipa. And we also here in Winnipeg have a wonderful music scene. Lana Winterholt has been super supportive. And there's artists like Fontaine and Boy Golden and Cassidy Mann, and Victoria Turco that are just, they're just great. And I'm so fortunate to be in Winnipeg in the music kind of scene now.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are some of your favorite spots in Winnipeg to check out live music?
I love the Times Changed, High and Lonesome Club. When I had moved to Winnipeg, Times Changed was actually one of the first bars that I actually like went into, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like, have you been in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening? I'm like, why are there all these bathrobes hanging, and why are there like a rubber chicken on the ceiling, and all that? And so I think the spirit of music is alive and well there. But there's some really great music venues. Park Theater is really great. Park Alleys is, a few years old now, I think, but it's been really great for musicians as well. I play a show there on March 11th. And yeah, I feel like I'm a Handsome Daughter, the Goodwill. Those
Yeah.
are, I don't know if I'm just like listing them all, but
No,
they,
that's great. So you've talked earlier about becoming comfortable being vulnerable. How did you develop that? Yeah, let's just talk about vulnerability, like showing up in stage, sharing your emotions, your thoughts from your songs you wrote. Like that's like that's very courageous. And yeah, how have you developed that vulnerability muscle?
well, I think singing actually, so showing up on stage for me, I get nervous, but usually I'm not super self-conscious. And I don't know if that comes from my piano days, where, I would walk on stage with a new piano and my fingers would feel numb. And I'd be like, I don't remember the beginning notes to this, whatever, Chopin piece. But then you just do it, I think. And you have to be very attentive and in the moment. But being on stage, I enjoy. Singing is a lot of breath, it's a lot of control. And I also lose myself in singing. I really get lost in it. So I think the combination of the breath that you need for singing, as well as, to have a certain tone or to sound nice and clear, I think that control helps regulate your emotions. And sometimes, especially when I'm on the beginning of a set that I'm nervous for, and I can feel my heart pounding and I'm trying to keep my breath under control, it's a slow kind of comfortability that I get. And so being vulnerable, sometimes when I overthink things, like, wow, I'm really sharing a lot of myself in my songs, or, oh wow, I'm really, feeling a lot of emotions. And sometimes the emotions that I feel aren't even things that are happening in my life. It's just empathy. It's just, things that are happening in the world. But one of my goals is to also be a badass bitch.
You
And
are.
and I used to think that was kind of like turning off my emotions and doing, I don't know, just being like rough and tough, and I'm not fazed by anything. But for me, I think that means that I am myself, and I'm unabashedly. I accept myself and I show up as myself. And sometimes that means that I feel vulnerable. And that's great.
Mhm. That's perfect. Um, a lot of your songs involve love, and that's the next question. Through the highs and lows that is this journey of life, what have you learned about love? What does that word mean to you?
I think that love is an act of appreciation, because there are so many things that, when I give things the time and space to appreciate, and see for what they are, I think that is love. Um, and conversely, exploring that lack of love or that cold, I think it's when we don't see or appreciate each other. My
Mhm.
song Alone Together, that's on the EP, kind of explores, it was born by thinking about the people that we walk past, in downtown Winnipeg, for example, and that maybe we've become cold to, and yeah, just it kind of exploring that. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. I like that. I really like that definition of love. Leads us to the next question. Through it all, through the highs and lows, once again, what has been the greatest life lesson that you've learned on your path that you feel called in this very moment to share with us listening in?
Can you repeat that question one more time as I think about it?
Yeah, sure. Just what has been what is like the greatest life lesson that you learned on that path, or the greatest message that you just like to share with everyone listening? What is something just really important that resonates with you that you'd love to share to uplift, inspire, and empower anyone listening along?
I I don't know if this sounds too simple, um, but at this point in my life right now, um, the the beauty of being gracious with yourself, I think, is what you might need and what others around you, would benefit from.
Mhm. Sometimes the simplest things are the most profound. Can you define what graciousness means for those that don't know what that is?
Kind. Be
Kind.
be kind and considerate, to yourself.
Mhm. Amazing. So I asked every guest these final two questions, and we got to that point. So here they are. In 3 words, how would you describe the experience you're having on this earth? So in 3 words, how would you describe the experience you're having on this earth? It doesn't have to be a phrase. It could just be 3 separate words, and you can elaborate on those words if you feel called to or not.
These are good questions. They really make me think. Okay. Exploratory comes to mind first. Um, Exploratory, kind, and creative. And
Hmm.
I'll expand on creative.
Okay.
Um, I don't necessarily, although it does include, songwriting and things like that. Um, I think creativity is the willingness to be open to, admitting that you're wrong, admitting that there might be a different approach that you can take when feel like you're at, the end. Um, So kind of that openness and that willingness to learn or try new things.
Mhm. Exploratory, kind, and creative. That's a beautiful world.
What are
Final
your
question. What are my words?
Yeah.
No one's ever asked that to me in like over 120 episodes. So let me try to answer what the words that um the words that describe the experience I'm having on this earth. Um love, peace, and love, peace, and strange.
And what?
Strange.
Strange?
Strange.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I've never been asked, but those are that. So yeah, my experience on this earth is loving, peaceful, and strange.
I love that. That's
Thanks
great.
for thanks for turning the tables on to me.
Oh, I love turning the tables. I would have done it sooner, but I didn't want to ruin your plans.
Okay, the last question. We've played around with time. We've examined the present. We've examined your past, and I'm going to fast forward things, and we're going to venture into the future, and we're going to venture into faraway time, and we're going to be sitting alongside an 85-year-old Shay Wolf. Who is that woman? Where are you? Who are you surrounded by? What is the predominant feelings in your body? And what is the legacy that you've left here?
But I'm
You're
gonna
80.
I'm
So
on
yeah,
a beach, definitely on a beach in the sunshine. Hopefully. I feel peace. I feel love and energetic. Um, and similar to what I said, I think if I'm 85, if I'm 95, however long I'm lucky enough to live for, I want people that have come into my life or that I've touched to to believe in themselves, or feel supported, and that would be my legacy. And I'm surrounded by loved ones, friends, maybe even some strangers that I just met. I don't know. And sunshine.
Beautiful. I want you to just stay with that woman one moment longer. I really want you to feel into her being, that 85-year-old, that 95-year-old Shay Wolf, and the impact that she's had here. Those that deep feeling of love, peace, friendship. And I'm going to bring us back to the current day. And in this moment now, in this moment here, that 85-year-old woman whispers you a message. What does she say?
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. The words of wisdom for us all. And that concludes my questions, but we have one last treat for everyone, and you're gonna close this off with a song, I believe, right?
I am. Wow, I'm like, thanks, 85-year-old Shay. It's just like, yeah, thank you so much for all your questions and getting to know me better. And thank you for sharing your 3 words.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. Thank you for showing up here and always.
Thank you. So I'm going to sing one last song. And this song is also on the EP. It's called Deeper. And it's about so after I, got engaged and we bought a house and everything, I was like, there's just a moment where I was just like, this feels different than I thought it would. And kind of going back to that idea of, what you think you'll feel like, or, whatever in the future when you've achieved this thing. And I was like, I thought it would feel like different somehow. And not in a bad way, just kind of like, oh, I was wrong. And so, but it's good, this is how it's meant to be. So this is Deeper. Yeah. This
That's
one's
good.
this one is on on Spotify and all the streaming ones, but it'll also be on my EP. Wake up now, first day of the rest of your life. Don't stop now, someday we're gonna win this fight. Hold it, taste it on your lips. Relax now, maybe you'll get a sip. Hold it until it's gone. I thought that I'd feel better, like life would be more clear, like it would hit me harder. Oh, I thought that I'd feel stronger, look my demons in the eye. I thought it hit me deeper, deeper than what I feel inside. Know your fate, and life's happiness will come your way. Walk it off, it's not really that bad anyway. Do you feel it dancing in your mind? Dreamers is what we need to fly steady as she goes. Thought that I'd feel better, like life would be more clear, like it would hit me harder. Oh, I thought that I'd feel stronger, look my demons in the eye. I thought it hit me deeper, deeper than what I feel inside. Let it go, ebb and flow. Let it go, ebb and flow. I thought that I'd feel better, like life would be more clear, like it would hit me harder. Oh, I thought that I'd feel better, like life would be more clear, like it would hit me harder. Oh, I thought that I'd feel stronger, look my demons in the eye. I thought it hit me deeper, deeper than what I feel inside.
Thank you. I feel it was so good. That was so good, and I'm excited to celebrate your EP coming out very soon. Your debut EP "Stay" will be released March 9th, and your EP release party will be at the Handsome Daughter in Winnipeg, Manitoba, on the 8th, on Wednesday, March 8th. And tickets are available on showpass.com, or they can find you on Instagram at Shay Wolf, ShayyWolf. And your website, where they can check you out and learn more about you, is shaywolf.com.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me. I had a ton of fun.
Yeah, likewise. To close every episode, we bring our fist in to the winner circle, a digital fist bump. Boom.
Boom.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you very soon for some live music, and I can't wait.
Can't wait to see you.
Thank you so much.